Hello everyone and welcome again to the next lesson of HTML. And in our previous lesson we looked at the HTML head tag and we said some of the sub tags within the HTML head tag include the title, the style, the link, the script and the meta tag. We have already looked at the first four sub tags, and in this lesson now we want to look at the meta tag. And we said that the meta tag is used to specify the character set, the keywords for search engines, the page description, author, and any other meta information about the page. So let's take a closer look at the meta tag, and some of the information we can specify within the meta tag includes the character set. So the character set specifies the set of characters to be used by the page. By default, if you don't specify the character set, the page will use UTF-8. Another information you can specify within using the meta tag is the viewport. The viewport is used to make the page responsive, and responsive means the page should be able to look good across all the devices. Another meta information you can add using the meta tag is the page description. And the page description can be any description you want to give to your page, and this description is helpful for the search engines, and this is the text that the search engine will display under the search results. Another information you can add using the meta tag is the keywords, and the keywords is used to provide the keyword for the search engine optimization. And another information you can also define using the meta tag is the page author, where you are able to specify the author or the developer of the page. And we also have other information which we call the open graph, and this specify how your page will look when it is shared on the social media platforms. And using the open graph, we can define the title of our website, we can define the description of our website, we can define the image or the thumbnail of our page. We can also define the URL of our page, so that when this page is shared on any social platform, for example, let's say LinkedIn or WhatsApp or Facebook, then this information that we have defined as the open graph will be seen on that shared shared link. So without further ado, let's get started and use the meta to define all this information. So I'm going to turn over to my Visual Studio again, and below this tag, below these tags that we've already added, I'm going to add another tag within the head tag, and that is the meta tag. And in this meta tag, I'm going to define the character set, and I'm going to say the character set is UTF-8. Please, if you don't know more about the character sets, I want to request to go and research on more about the character set. We have many types of character set, for example UTF-8 or ASCII code. You can go and research more on that. Another thing we can define using the meta tag is we can also say meta, and then we provide the name, and we say author, and then we say content, we provide the name of that author, and maybe the author is called archive. So here we have defined the author of the page or the owner of the page. Another information we can define using the meta tag is, so we have the name, description of the page, and then we can now define the content and give the actual description. So we can say this is a home page. Another information we can define is that we can define the keywords which will be used by the search engines. So we say name, keywords, and and in the content we provide the keywords. The keywords are all those words that you think the users will use to search your content. And if we are developing a learning management website, then the possible words would be, for example, online school, separated by a comma, courses, maybe HTML, and any other such word, such words. So you're going to separate them using the comma. And also back here to the page description, you may also need to provide a more meaningful description rather than just saying this is a home page. So give a more meaningful description that the search engine will use to display your search result to the users. Another information we can define using the meta tag is the viewport. So we can say here the name and then viewport, and then we can give the content, and in the viewport you're going to specify this: width is equals to device minus width, comma, initial scale equals to 0. And this means that once this page is loaded on the browser, you have to scale this page to fit the browser or the device screen. Let's say the page is being viewed using the laptop, then the page will automatically fit this window of the laptop. If you're using the mobile device, let me resize this to a mobile device screen. So the mobile device, the page should also be resized automatically to fit this small screen, which is a mobile device. If you are using a tablet which has a bigger screen like this, then this content should also automatically be resized to fit that screen. That's what it means by defining this viewport and setting it to device width. Alright. The other content now that we can add with using the meta tag again is the open graph information. And in the open graph information, we are going to use the property instead of name. So we have the property and then the content, the property and the content. So here, instead of using name again, we are going to use property, and then we're going to say property equals to open graph, and then semicolon, open graph, semicolon, and then we give the title of that open graph information. Then we're going to say content, and we can give any content for that case. And here we can say maybe the page title is maybe home page, but then you will need to provide a more meaningful title in the real world application. We can also add the description, open graph, and the other thing we can add using the open graph is the description right here. And in the description we can say again home page for code archive, or in the description we can say code archive. Another information we can define using the meta tag we can use, and open graph is we can also use property equals to open graph, and we can also define the image that will appear as a thumbnail. The image in this case can be our logo or anything that symbolizes our brand. And here we're going to say content, and we're going to link the image. Let me use the image logo right here. .jpg. And lastly, you can also define the URL of that page. So we can also say meter, or let me just copy this and I'm going to paste it right down here. And instead of using image, now I'm going to say URL, and then I can give the URL, maybe the URL of code archive. Let me copy this URL here, right here, and I'm going to copy that and paste it here. So when we share this, when we share our web page or our website on the social media platforms, this information that we have defined using the Open Graph is going to be seen by the users. All right. So with that said, I want to post this content here, and this is all about meter information. So you can use the meter information to add all this information about the page. And some of this information are helpful for the search engine optimization and branding purposes. So with that said, I want to post this content right here, and then we meet in the next lesson where we look at the HTML semantic tags. Otherwise, thank you for joining the lesson and see you in the next class.